Hello there, everybody. My name is Waddles, and how are you? We have a really big update on the horizon, and probably not too far off on the horizon either. The 1.13 update aquatic update involves water, so I thought I would do a video involving water. That makes sense, right? More specifically, some building tips or techniques that you can use with water to decorate your world or just in general use water. I've thought of 5 different tips that I could give you when you ask me, hey, Waddles, how could I use water in my world? Could I decorate with it? What could I do with water to just make my world a little bit more detailed? And the most wonderful thing about all of these tips is that all of these will work when 1.13 comes out. So with all of that, if you enjoy the video, make sure you leave a like on it. It really helps me out, or even subscribe. And let's go get into tip number 1. So tip number 1, to utilize water to decorate your world or beautify it, or just in general, to use water. Wells and fountains. I promise this is the most basic tip in this video. But seriously, if you have an empty space in your yard or along your road or in front of your building or something, a great way to fill that up is to use water and make a fountain. So the key to fountains is a good color palette or theme. So this is meant to look structured and stone and gray. This is meant to look a little more naturey and wooden and brown in tones here. Another tip that goes in hand with the whole fountain idea is to use currents and water flowing to your advantage. In my opinion, the fountain with the currents and the flowing and the cool water stuff is a lot more cool than a standing water fountain, but both work definitely. So you could spruce up this fountain by just throwing a block in the middle and throwing water right on top of it. Boom, there you go. That looks a whole lot better than just a flat fountain. Now also, you could use wells. Wells are basically a small fountain, but the cool thing about a well is that this is a great way to hide something in your world. So you can easily put water and then ladders that go right down into maybe a room, a base, I don't know. Or you can put a well in and basically put black concrete right at the bottom of it here. And it looks like it's deep. It gives off an optical illusion of being deep. So if you're doing, say, a secret base, I'd say put a few of these wells in around your world and make a lot of them just fake deep. Then, of course, you need to put something for a bucket. So I've seen a cauldron, I've seen a chest, I've seen hoppers. I kind of like hoppers. They look kind of cool to me, but wells are really nice and easy to build. Just a tiny small decoration that adds a lot to your world. Okay, so from here on out, the rest of these tips are more about natural water type things, but custom ponds and custom terrain and that kind of stuff, you can use that to your advantage to fill up your world and make it a lot better. Now, I've seen a lot of people go around and say, I'm going to add in, custom ponds, and they just do square ones or pretty basic shapes, like, let's say we do that and that. Like, yeah, it's cool, it does work definitely, but the shape is really key. So get an interesting shape. Just play around with a shovel, dig out a little bit of land before you fill it all up, and find a cool shape. But then, to evolve that lake, pond, whatever, into the next level, go in and add a little bit of depth in that pond, and then add blocks around it and in it, especially if it's shallow, to add detail. So I took sand and coarse dirt. When I do this type of thing, I really love to use sand and coarse dirt for this. You can also get a little fancy and throw something like logs underneath the water too. I like it when they don't show the top of the log. It doesn't seem to always fit for me, but it's just very nice. So think about the blocks you're going to put under the pond and around it. Make them make sense too. Don't put coarse dirt and then random sand and then all coarse dirt. Like, put sand and have it spill out a little bit, and then coarse dirt and then sand, and you get it. However, you're not done here. I see people stop here, and you want to go the next step up and decorate around it, especially if it's in like a field or a front yard or a backyard or just somewhere off to the side. Go in and decorate around the lake here. Go and put plants, put flowers, bushes, lily pads. A tiny interesting tip is that green concrete powder and grass match pretty well depending on the biome, so you can just sprinkle it in, but careful not to put it next to water because then you get that hardened concrete, and that doesn't match at all. So just go around your pond and in your pond and decorate it. You can even put leaves under the water, but as of right now, there is a little bit of weird flowing stuff going on, so you'd have to, fill it in like that. But when 1.13 comes, that should be all fixed, and you could put leaves anywhere you want under your pond. But just make ponds, custom ponds in your world to fill up space if you don't want to do, say, a fountain, and decorate them. Make them very nice looking. Don't just do this lame pond here and call it a day. The next tip for utilizing water to decorate and beautify your world or using water is streams. Not live streams, water streams here. So that's my house. That wonderful looking building is my beginner house. Now, I could easily, say, just walk right up to it. There's not any water here, just walk right up to the house, maybe put a fence around it and something, and boom, it's done, it's good, it's easy. However, if you put a little stream in, like what I've done here, and then you throw a little bridge over it, that will add a lot more detail. Now, you could even put little waterfalls in your stream and changes in height level. That can add a little bit more detail, but definitely utilize the previous trick of putting blocks around your stream that are different. Don't just do a line of water, and definitely don't do it just straight. That will look like a moat. If you want a stream, think of something thin and curving around. Now, if you don't want a bridge, I would say do some lily pads, because a stream is meant to be pretty narrow. So if you just throw some lily pads in and say a corner or something, and then you can just walk right across it to your house. Another nice thing about streams is that they will slow down mobs, just like a moat would, but they will look a lot better than a square water around your base. And this stream doesn't really have to go anywhere either. Mine just kind of ends. And that's the nice thing about it. If you do it really wide, you'll have to make it smaller near the ending or it'll look a little goofy. But if you have a thin stream like me, you can just kind of end it wherever you want to end it. But if you throw these in randomly across your plains and stuff, that will make your world look a lot more detailed and a lot better. A mini tip is blocks of coal make an interesting rock as well. That's what I have going around here. That is meant to be a different type of dark rock. Tip number 4 to use water to your advantage is, of course, waterfalls. If you have a tall cliff like I have here, throw a waterfall in. Waterfalls are really, really easy to make. Basically, all you want to do is find a spot where you want it. So say I want it here. I'm going to dig down a little bit so the water doesn't spill everywhere. I'm going to go up a little bit and say right here looks like a good spot. Dump your water, right? And it should all go into there. So you want to dig a little area now that you have your water down here. Figure out how you want your little pond at the bottom of the waterfall to go. So that looks okay to me. Then you want to go in here and just vary the blocks. So if you're working with dirt, you could do stuff like this. Right there, I just threw a little bit of coarse dirt and spruce wood planks in and it looks a whole lot better. Or if you're working with more of a mountain, you can do blocks like andesite, cobblestone, mossy cobblestone slabs. The gray option is a whole lot easier to do because you have so many options. But waterfalls are very, very nice. If you have a path going, say, along this waterfall and there's just this here, it's really nice. And you can also combine this with the last tip and make the waterfall go into a stream of some sort, just to add that extra little detail. It's also kind of fun to divide the water stream up sometimes, so go and mess around with placing blocks in here and seeing what you can do, chopping the stream in half. That could be really, really cool and add that little bit of extra detail to your waterfall. And finally, this tip will work very well for a bigger body of water, but it definitely will work with any body of water pretty much. But light water, what does that mean? Well, what it means is putting lighting underneath your water. This to me is something that's kind of common sense, but overthought a lot of the times, or overlooked. So what I did over here is put sea lanterns all under the water. Then I was using glowstone or even jack-o'-lanterns. In my opinion, sea lanterns look the best, but those are kind of expensive or hard to get. So glowstone will work, or jack-o'-lantern will work too. Now you could put this all over the place like I did here, but in my opinion, it looks a little better when you do it just here and there, like I did over here with glowstone. Just kind of put it around randomly, so there's random light areas under your, what is this, a lake? Yeah, under your lake here. Now again, this is going to work better on bigger bodies of water. So if I just, go under here and keep taking glowstone. You want to go out a little bit to where it's dark again, place another glowstone. Go out a little bit more. It's dark over here, put another glowstone. Or, like I said, if you want it all lit up, you can just spam them pretty much everywhere. But the key is being random. You don't want a square pattern going on. Like, this is pretty close to a line, which I would say to change. Same with this one. It looks like a line. You don't really want lines going around under the water. You want something more like this, just random and everywhere. Now, I also would say to try and bury them. It'll look a little better if you just have it buried in the ground. Like here, it kind of looks like a random glowstone sitting there, so maybe you do that, just to make the light a little darker. At nighttime, this can look really neat to come across a lake and it's all lit up. Now, again, looking at nighttime, really, the more sparse lighting looks better to me, but some people do like a lot of light under their water, so that could work just as fine as well. One final tip with this is to make sure your blocks under the water are varied when you're doing this, because you're going to light up the surface and it will just look a lot better if you have mixtures of gravel and sand and coarse dirt and whatever you want to do. You could even make some of the stuff pop up a little bit more just to add detail, but make sure your blocks are different blocks. If it's all gravel, it won't look as cool. When you start mixing in the different blocks, it just gets that extra layer of detail under the water. And so those are 5 tips from me to you about using water to your advantage, or things you can do with water to make it look better in your world. What tip did you like? Do you have an extra tip? If you do, throw that down below. I always like to learn from you as well. Also, what do you think about the bigger GUI? Is that better for you? Do you like it bigger or did you like it smaller? Random question, but I changed it in this video compared to the other ones. My name is Waddles. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't yet, do me a favor and leave a like, maybe even subscribe, and of course, go have a good day. I will see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.